Hold on, Teddy's coming over here. Yes, sir?
Yes to both.
Okay.
I
Wait, you might have to say that again. He just like shook right into the mic. Hey guys, Victoria here, and welcome to the Geeky Sandbox. So today we are going to be doing a spoiler review over Nosferatu with our good friend Anna. Make sure you show Anna all of the love. This is her first time on the channel. But yes, guys, let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm here with my friend Anna. Say hi, Anna.
Hello.
First time on the channel. Be respectful, guys. Not that you guys aren't. How many days has it been since you've seen the movie?
I saw it last Saturday, so almost a week since I've seen it. Barely fresh in my mind.
Oh, same here. I think mine was Christmas Eve, so it's been a little over a week. So if we forget anything, we will add it in post. I'll go first. I'll say what I think the movie is about if I have to describe it in one sentence. And then you can go.
Okay.
Let's see, look, I'm already struggling. It's not even, I'm already past one sentence, so I don't know how I'm going to do this. Okay.
How many words do you want it to be in a sentence? Like, is there like...
Oh God. Okay, wait. As long as it sounds like a complete thought. How about that? Versus being like a sentence. Okay. An estate agent or real estate agent who comes into some luck, finds some new work, and it happens to be for Nosferatu. Little does he know that his wife, or his newly wedded wife, has a past with Nosferatu.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's a homage to Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like, that's obvious.
We're coming in with that being what we feel is about. The description, the proper description, it says in the 1830s, an estate agent, Thomas Hutter, who is played by Nicholas Hoult, travels to Transylvania for a fateful meeting with Count Orlok, who is played by Bill Skarsgård, a prospective client. In his absence, Hutter's new bride, Ellen, who is played by Lily Rose Depp, is left under the care of her friends, Frederick, who is played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Anna Harding. And I always forget her last name, but her name is Emma. And I'll have to like see if I can maybe put some respect on her name. Emma Corrin.
Corrin.
Yeah, there we go. Emma Corrin, who I last saw in Deadpool and Wolverine, which I was like, oh my God, that's the same lady. Which I love moments like those. Where I'm like, oh my God. The ability to just kind of like put on like a whole new, almost like a whole new face and just be a completely different person is really cool.
Even like Bill Skarsgård, like the amount of portrayals he's done from Pennywise to Count Orlok, he is like a jack of all trades.
Very true. To wrap up that description, plagued by horrific visions, Ellen soon encounters an evil force that is far beyond her control. The movie was directed and written by Robert Eggers, who has done movies that we've all heard of at this point. The Lighthouse, The Witch, or as I call it, The Vivitch, because of the posters, like two V's put together. And then The Northman, who, crazy enough, has another Skarsgård in it, Alexander Skarsgård. Seems like he likes the Skarsgård family. And Willem Dafoe. Let's be honest here. He's like in almost everything he does. But yeah. An icon. What kind of genre would you say this movie falls into?
Well, definitely horror.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be, I don't know, what is Victorian like considered like a subgenre of it?
I feel like you could say the like Victorian like kind of
like
feel.
A Victorian like horror drama, I guess. Gothic. Like Gothic horror pretty much, I guess you could say.
Pretty much, yeah. I would say the same thing. Throwback, gothic horror, vampire movie, and which I think even under that umbrella, you have stuff like drama and absurdism, movies that sometimes they don't quite make sense, but they look good. How did you feel about the performances? Like, who was your favorite character or performer? And then, like, who was your least favorite? They don't have to be terrible, but maybe they didn't really do anything for you.
I went in thinking Count Orlok was going to be my favorite, but I really think Nicholas Hoult and Willem Dafoe did really outstanding performances. Like, I know a lot of people are kind of overlooking Nicholas Hoult a little bit. I thought his character was gonna die like once he fell off the cliff. The fact that he came back, and him and Willem Dafoe, and then I'm trying to remember the other actor's name.
Ralph Ineson.
Yes, Ralph Ineson. I just really liked like the ending scene where they're like all with the rats, and then Willem Dafoe has his like his final moment, like burning down that estate that Count Orlok bought. But like again, like Bill Skarsgård, like obviously played a really great Count Orlok. Like for me, he can't do no wrong. I don't really think there was any like bad actors or actresses in the movie. I mean, I wasn't a fan of her not.
Hmm.
Nothing against Simon McBurney, but I think his character is based on Renfield from Dracula. He was just not my favorite, not because of the acting, just because like his mannerisms and everything.
Yeah, I feel like just piggybacking off of what you said, I'll start with Simon McBurney. I know the last thing I saw him in, because I'm looking at his work, was The Conjuring 2, and it's been a while since
Mhm.
I've seen that movie, and I'm like, there he was vibes. Maybe he was a bit too theatrical for me. I'm like, we had Willem Dafoe for that,
Right.
so,
Yes.
but I'm like,
And
but
his
I'm
wig.
like, yeah, in his wig, in the top hat, just everything. Oh my
Yes.
god.
Main character energy.
Main character energy, like the shot of him when he's burning everything down and he's like smiling with like the
Yes.
top hat lives rent free in my head.
Yes. And the memes that have come out from it, I'm just like, oh, keep it coming.
Please. I have to agree though. I feel like, especially coming from a place of thinking that Nicholas Holt's character, Thomas, was going to die. Like, why I thought it was over too when he fell off the cliff, off the side of the, like,
Yeah.
into the water or whatever. I was like, oh shit, like, I guess he's not going back. Like, I guess that's it. When they find him, I was like, oh, okay, I'm locked in. And Nicholas did a great job portraying that determination, not only to, like, get back to Ellen, but also just, like, to warn everybody because he like the fear that he had, I was so uncomfortable. He did a really good job playing that
Mhm.
fearful, I think how I would hope how most of us would react if we realize that we've been fed on. We can't even leave this fucking maze. Like I think he did great doing that. And I think he is being overlooked actually, because I know like we all love Bill Skarsgård. You guys know how much I just talk about Bill Skarsgård so much on this channel. I like he did great
As
as
you should.
Orlok, as I should. He did great as Orlok. Definitely to the point where I didn't even realize that it was him. Like I knew it was him, but like I knew he was supposed to be in the
Mhm.
movie. But then I was like, wait, is that him? Is this our guy? Is there another guy? He did so well, like disappearing. And to that, I
Yeah.
know there's some people that hated the breathing thing that he was
Yes.
doing. I was like, I've seen the commentary. I like have a friend that hated it. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. When he first did it, when he first appeared, I thought it was to show it had been a while since he like fed on someone. He
That's
did it.
what I thought too.
See, yeah, and but then later when he continues to like kind of do it, I was like, okay, this is just a part of the character that Bill had built. And I was like, you know what?
Mhm.
That's fine. I have no gripes with that.
In an
Mhm.
interview, Bill said that he, I don't know the term that he like throat singing or something. Like he practiced a lot to get his voice like in that octave that he used and like the breathing and everything. And I know there's like people who just found it humorous or people who thought it was unnecessary to add it, but I think people will now recognize like his
Yeah.
Nosferatu as like a raspy, like corpse looking. He put a twist on Nosferatu that like now you can say like, oh, that's Bill Skarsgård's Count Orlok.
Very true. That's actually really well said because, when you think about the 1931 Dracula, our iconic universal monster, that's the face, like the face, the film blueprint of like Dracula. And when people,
Right.
started like doing recreations after that, everyone had to put what they felt would be their own stamp for Dracula, right? So it makes sense that for
Mhm.
Nosferatu, that Bill making sure there was some sort of distinction between his Nosferatu and then like some of the previous versions. Shout out SpongeBob, which Bill Skarsgård also shouted out. I don't know if you've seen that interview. There's an interview where the lady asked him, Bill Skarsgård and Willem Dafoe, if they used a SpongeBob episode for research. And Bill Skarsgård,
I did
obviously,
not.
given his age, he was the one that was like, oh, I like studied it like repeatedly. And then and then like poor Willem Dafoe was like, I have no idea what that is. But but all that to say, yeah, that's a really good point. Because you want to be able to like stand out, especially when I feel like the market for supernatural creatures is very saturated with vampires the most, I think,
Yeah.
because it's the most at least the most retold story that we've seen time and time again, whether it's a TV show or a movie or like several books, over the years. And so I think it's
Right.
important to be able to do that. I was doing some research back last week on Robert. Anna and I were talking about the choice for Nosferatu to drink from the heart, because that's one of the things that he does instead of the neck. And Robert Eggers said he made these sort of decisions because not only because he wanted to tie in some like old lore, but because he wanted his vampire story to be different. And I think he did, whether people are making memes about it or talking about it like you and me, he achieved his goal.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I first came out of it, because you saw it before me, I was like, wow, he took Nosferatu and gave him like a new decrepit skeleton. He's like all decayed and everything vampire. And like you'd think after he sucks blood or kills someone that he like his figure would come back, because that's what like we see with vampires. Like they're like in some portrayals, their bodies become like decayed and everything, and
Yeah.
once they suck some blood or something, they become youthful again. But pretty much like Orlok stays that way like throughout the whole movie. And I just like I admired like that, and I admired like the way that he pierced through the heart. We never seen that before.
Yeah, same here. I agree. I haven't seen it done like that before either. You're right. No matter how many times he fed on Thomas, or even like the rampage that he goes on what's supposed to be the Demeter, by the time he gets with Ellen, he still is the sack of bones in a trench coat. So it's just none of it happened. He's just a walking skeleton with like maybe flesh on his head or whatever. We talked about how Thomas and Ellen are these newlyweds, and they are in a place of where they need some more money. They want to like get their big start together, and that's when they stay with their friends. Thomas catches a big break, and he just has to go sign over like an estate to Count Orlok, and his boss sends him, who is why am I forgetting his name again? Hernock. I'm gonna remember it at some point. So Hernock sends him over there, and like knowing what's gonna happen, right? And whenever he gets there, it's kind of like his whole like vision and thoughts are like clouded anyway, the closer he gets to the castle. And so yeah, which I thought was like, at first I was like, is this not weird to him, or did he just think he imagined it when he's like walking up and then like the horses bring the carriage? Yeah.
And then like when he finally gets into Count Orlok's manor, like this, just that whole montage of like him signing the contract and everything, it was just like a whole fever dream almost, because you're going back and forth between Thomas not realizing that Count Orlok is like essentially, I don't want to say possessed. I don't know what's the right word for.
I'm trying to remember what term they use in the Vampire Diaries. It's like
trance.
I guess trance would be good for this situation. Like he was in some sort of trance. Note for everybody: never take a drink from someone in that kind of setting. I mean, he felt like he didn't have a choice, especially because he was in that trance. But I was like, he had him sit down. He had him like take a drink and eat, and I was just like, I would be so fucking scared in this situation. Like everything already feels weird.
We didn't even talk about the gypsy part either.
Oh gosh, the gypsy part.
He stops at that house and everything. Did Count Orlok kill all those gypsies?
Oh, that's actually a really
just like
good
remembering
point.
that they all died, right?
I think they had. I mean, because when it first happens, like he wakes up the next morning and he has what he thinks initially is a nightmare. Thomas is that like they're trying to like stake a vampire in a coffin, which I think is supposed to be Orlok.
Right.
They try to stake him, but he wakes up and he's like, okay, thank goodness it's a dream, but he has like mud on his shoes and stuff, implying that it did happen. I do think Orlok killed all those those gypsies, but what happened to their bodies? Did he just like take a moment to get rid of all of them overnight, or?
The man has like dark powers, so I don't know. I mean, he was able to summon 2,000 plagued rats, which we'll get to, because we forgot to mention the rats in the character list, because those rats.
Yes, you're right. Those were, main characters. Willem Dafoe's best co-star, he said. So
yes.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the gypsies. You're right, though. So I guess that's kind of where things get weird. So maybe from that point, obviously he already knew that Thomas was on his way there because of her knock, but
I think it was a pack knock did it on purpose or something.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Earlier you kind of likened him to Renfield. So it's like that. Mm-hmm. He's bringing him more people. Essentially, he's trying to go get after Ellen and get Ellen back.
Right.
But he finds out that Ellen has been married and then her husband is Thomas, and he found a a loophole, I guess, a way to get to Ellen, and by getting rid of Thomas. And we talked about Thomas signing what he thought was work paperwork. If that sounds weird, work paperwork. But later you find out that it was for him selling Ellen to Orlok, or like relinquishing like their marriage rights or something like that.
We'll get to like the pacing and everything of the movie. This is where I kind of disassociated a little bit because I was just getting a little confused with like the back and forth between like the trance and what was real, what was
Very
not,
true.
and then
it was meant to be ambiguous during the scene where he's at the castle signing everything, but you as the audience can feel like something's wrong. And then even when he pleads to go back, like there's just not a lot of information being given to him, which is very cunning and done on purpose by Count Orlok. And just kind of that like imbalance of power, because he's supposed to be this count. He is trying to obtain this like very expensive estate. Someone like Thomas, who just got into this role, and this is supposed to be like his big moment that he's not supposed to fuck up. He's like in a weird place where like he's in the trance, but he also is like, I feel uncomfortable, but then he wants to say no, but then he's like, but my job. So I feel like that was all like a lot going on in a good way. Like I saw the emotions and the wheels turning, which I think helped the story later on and helped the decisions that Thomas makes later. The long story short, Ellen, she knows something is like on his way to her, but she's not quite sure what it is. And once she does realize what it is, she hasn't quite told Thomas that she has a past with Orlok. The people she's staying with, like her friends, they just think that she's kind of like having a lot of like hysteria and things like that, because, you know, women in the 1830s, women, like they treated women like this, and like just, it's just wild. They eventually seek out help from Willem Dafoe's character. And he's supposed to be this doctor who mainly studies stuff like the occult and just kind of weird things that fall into the realm of what Ellen may be experiencing. But yes, in an attempt to leave, Thomas ends up getting put back in his room, and he's fed on again. But when he does finally escape, he falls off the side of the castle into like a cliffy ocean side or whatever. But as fate would have it, Thomas gets found. He journeys his way back to Ellen to try to warn Ellen, but he doesn't know that Ellen already knows. I wouldn't say he's too late, but he was essentially too late.
Right.
He wasn't well the whole time that when he was back, he was in bed. Yeah.
He literally came like stomach first on the horse, and you're like, oh, he survived.
Thomas wanted to be the person that protects Ellen, especially when he finds out that she did have this relationship with Orlok, but he doesn't know that she has to be the person that ends everything with Orlok.
The pacing, like I know a lot of people have their thoughts and opinions on the pacing.
Yes, let's get into that.
It is slow, and I'm not a fan of like slow pacing to that degree. Yes, you need like a good build up, but I mean for the most part it wasn't that bad, because like once you get to like Thomas going to Count Orlok's castle, that's when it starts to get better. But I think realistically, the minute Thomas goes into, I guess, Count Orlok's crypt, I don't know, his like crypt, I guess you can call it, and like opens the tomb and tries to kill him, because we forgot to mention that.
Oh yeah, when he first like sees him, and yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you seeing Count Orlok in his full glory. There's memes and comments about that too.
By the way, he gets dressed so fast. I mean,
right.
I was like, oh my god, he's
like,
already
that vampire speed coming in.
Right, dressed, ready, dogs going after Thomas. I was like, on it.
I think that's ultimately where like the movie actually starts to get really good, at least in my opinion.
If you're not one for like slow burn movies, then it's not going to be for you. But I think going in, I know a lot of, I can't say all of them are like that, right? Because I think about movies from Dusk Till Dawn. It's a vampire movie, but it's quickly paced out.
Right. Compared to like The Lost Boys, right? Like that to me is like,
yeah, there we go.
Like a cult classic. Like that's one of my like favorite vampire movies. That's like a good type of pacing. Gothic horror, you're mainly watching the movie for the visuals and for the performances and for the costumes and everything. You kind of have to overlook the pacing a little bit to like really soak in the movie and everything. But I know for some people, like the pacing takes you out of the movie a little bit. It's a fair point.
One thing that I think is good about the script, I thought the script was good. And I agree about like the pacing and stuff like that. I don't think that it makes it a bad script, but it's just good to remember that this is a Gothic thriller horror movie, right? When I talked to my friend Carolina about this movie, she talks about that it's a character movie. So you're here to watch these characters get developed, change, discover things, some get killed off. Like that's what this is. This is a character piece, almost like a character study. It makes me think about Pearl versus X. X is definitely more just like slasher horror, whereas Pearl is more of a like character study about like a particular person. And so that movie may feel slower, which, you know, not everyone has to like the same types of movies, but I do feel like with Nosferatu, it was a character movie and it was a gothic thriller with like the very slow pacing and like the different dialogue and like cadences when they spoke. Like I think all that combined can make someone feel like, okay, I'm bored of this movie. I want out. Was there anything that took you out of the movie, like when you were like watching?
I don't think like anything realistically takes you out of the movie, but if you're not a fan of Universal Monsters, this isn't the type of movie for you. There's a specific demographic for this movie, and I feel like a lot of people are giving it tough criticism just because they don't appreciate the genre, I think.
I've seen a lot of like, what the fuck did I just watch? I know Carolina, that was the response she got after her theater. After her theater experience, she heard a few people say that at the end.
Again, I don't think it takes you out of the movie. Are there
Yeah.
like a lot of extremes in the movie? Absolutely. Like the convulsions.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the convulsions were like borderline sexual, but we know why because she gives herself away to Count Orlok in the beginning. But
Hmm.
I think it was more just over exaggerated and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was just the route that Robert Eggers wanted to take. I mean,
Yeah.
I did have like what the fuck moments with those convulsions, but
I do agree. I don't think there's anything that took me out of the movie. Hold on. Teddy's coming over here. Yes, sir?
he's making an appearance.
He is. He wants me to pet him. There were a lot of like what the fuck moments. Like, and I do feel like that doesn't like take away from the movie or make the movie bad or anything like that. There were some of the convulsions where I was like, maybe they could have cut back on a couple. Maybe seeing a part of Thomas's journey to Ellen. And that's just me like just nitpicking, trying to find something if I had to find
No,
something.
that's a good point.
So you're like breathing into the mic.
I'm the third commentator.
He is.
I agree. I think they should have expanded on the journey more, like how he got on the horse at least, and how he got back to Germany because it's a long journey. We saw in the beginning, like we should see him at least like a little, like at least like a one still of him like journeying back, like leaving the nuns.
Overall, do you recommend this movie and would you watch it again? Because sometimes those aren't the same thing. Just because you recommend it doesn't mean you watch it again.
Yes to both.
Okay. Wait, you might have to say that again. He just like shook right into the mic.
Yes to both. I would recommend it and I would watch it again.
Yeah. We convinced Deontay to go watch it. Like he ended up seeing it. But I do feel like even if you know that friend isn't a fan of slower paced movies, but let's say they still like vampires, recommend it. They hate vampires, but they like Bill Skarsgård. Recommend it. Ignore what people are saying about the hype. Just give the movie a chance for yourself. What would you rank or rate this movie?
So on Letterboxd, I gave it a 5, but that was like my initial reaction to it because I was like, "Oh my god, this movie is great." But now, like after doing the review, I'd give it a 4.5. I don't know if that's me being generous, but the only like critique I really have was just like a little bit of over exaggeration and the pacing a little bit. Like Robert Eggers did Nosferatu justice, in my opinion.
I think he really did. That tagline of "Succumb to the Darkness," it's perfect. I was like, what a great way to celebrate Christmas. And
the marketing for this movie, like phenomenal.
And I feel like I agree. I gave it a 4 out of 5 for the same reasons. I felt like some of the acting, or I guess the acting choices or character choices, maybe even depending on what direction Robert Eggers wanted to go with Lily Rose Depp's Ellen, was a little exaggerated, but I don't think that it like means that the whole movie needs to be thrown in the trash. But yes, thank you, Anna, for doing this review with me.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have any recommendations of anything? Do you have where can people find you on social media?
Well, I just started an anthology series called Into the Dark, which is on Hulu. I'm only on episode 4 right now, but they're really good. It's kind of like Black Mirror minus the sci-fi aspect. It's more horror aspect. I really like it and I recommend it.
Ooh. I recommend What If, the first 3 seasons. I think the only 3 seasons. Season 3 is supposed to be the series finale. They're up on Disney Plus. Yeah, I definitely say give it a try. Especially if you have those thoughts of like, you know what? Like, I think one of the bigger ones is, what if Thor was an only child? What would that look like? Of course, you can find me on Twitter as Victoria Woe, Twitch as The Geeky Sandbox, my YouTube channel, which you're watching now, called The Geeky Sandbox. And I do have a gaming channel where I post my Twitch gameplays on The Geeky Sandbox Gaming. Any last words, Anna?
Bill Skarsgård is love. Bill Skarsgård is life, and so is Nicholas Holt.
Yes.
My parting words.
The best parting words ever. All right. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.